The Housing Justice Act has been a year-long endeavor, and I've been so pleased to work and have co-led it with Councilmember Katz. And the timing of this, I think, is perfect in that over in Annapolis, members of the General Assembly have just passed some of the most monumental criminal justice reforms in the nation. And while they've been doing that work over there, we still have more work to do here in Rockville, but I'm proud that this legislation will ensure that access to housing is more fair, just, and equitable. And the reality is that the Housing Justice Act essentially bans the box for what is known as survival crimes. They're victimless crimes, essentially, because nobody should be denied access to housing because they couldn't afford to pay a traffic ticket. And no one should be denied housing because they didn't have access to a bathroom while they were experiencing homelessness. And yes, these are actual examples of what is happening in the community. And individuals who were formerly homeless and those who've served their time need housing just like everybody else. Because the reality here is that Black residents are 4 times more likely to experience homelessness, and they are disproportionately represented among individuals exiting the criminal justice system. And we originally thought of calling this piece of legislation the Second Chance Act, but the reality is that there are so many barriers that have been erected over the years for housing based on systemic racism that some individuals never had a first chance to begin with. And the discriminatory history of redlining and housing segregation have really led to generational effects on communities of color and perpetuated cycles of poverty. So to simply state it, the Housing Justice Act is to ensure that housing is a basic human right, and it will help more individuals get access to housing by strengthening our anti-discrimination laws. And I just want to thank Council Members Jawando and Rice and Navarro and Reamer for co-sponsoring this legislation. And special thanks also to the advocates who worked tirelessly to really explain the real impact that this legislation will provide. Namely Christine Hong and Courtney Hall from Interfaith Works and Susie Sinclair Smith from the Montgomery County Coalition for the Homeless. I also do again want to thank my co-lead Councilmember Katz, and then internally within here at the council want to thank Christine Wellens and Mary Guys from Councilmember Katz's office. And last but certainly not least, want to thank my Chief of Staff, Valeria Carranza, for her incredible work researching this legislation. Looking at national housing best practices to make sure that we are leaders in this effort, and for her countless hours engaging the community on all sides of this issue. So thank you all to my colleagues and staff, and Mr. President, I yield back.